exhibition on Show Me the Monet in 45 minutes here on BBC Two.
I'm Jill, I'm 33 and I'm a farmer's wife and mother from Marlborough in Wiltshire.
I'm Karen, I'm 23, I'm a restaurant assistant manager from Hartlepool.
I'm Andy, I'm 45 years old, I'm a police officer from Dorset.
My name is Morag, I'm 57, I'm a seamstress and I come from Greenock in Renfrewshire.
I'm Doug, I'm 51, an electron microscopist from Hemmingford Gray in Cambridgeshire.
I'm Justin, I'm 21 years old, student living in Norfolk.
My name's Anne, I'm 46-year-old, I'm a nurse from County Durham.
I'm Brian, I'm a 73-year-old retired merchant seaman from Liverpool.
Now the rules. In each round the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £1,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from scratch. Remember, at the end of the round, only money that has been banked can be taken forward. In round 1, there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Andy. Let's play The Weakest Link. The first question is for £20. Start the clock. Andy, which Goon Show comedian was born Terence Allen Milligan in 1918?
Spike Milligan.
Correct. Morag. By what nickname was former British Olympic ski jumper Eddie Edwards better known?
Eddie the Eagle.
Correct. Doug. In the animal kingdom, a Great Dane is what kind of animal?
A dog.
Correct. Justin. In Cockney rhyming slang, if you were going to a rub-a-dub-dub, where would you be going?
The pub.
Correct. Anne. In TV, what was the catchphrase of the character played by John Inman in the BBC comedy Are You Being Served?
I'm free.
Correct. Brian. In pop music, with which British pop band did Jerry Halliwell achieve fame in the 1990s?
Spice Girls.
Correct. Kanjeev. Which sport would you associate with Chris Evert?
Tennis.
Correct. Jill. In finance, for what does PAYE stand?
Pay as you earn.
Correct. Karen. According to the proverb, you shouldn't wash your dirty linen in what?
Public.
Correct. Andy.
Bank.
Yes, in record time, you've reached and backed your £1,000 target. That money will go through to the next round, but of course, one of you will not. Do you have doubts? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
After an incredible first round, Andy is the strongest link as he banked the £1,000. Although no one answered a question incorrectly, Morag is the weakest link as she gained least money for the team. But what factors will the team take into account when it comes to the vote?
OK, voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Brian.
Anne.
Justin.
Karen.
Karen.
Brian.
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 Karen.
Kanjeev. Why Brian?
It was a very difficult round to choose from as everyone got 100%. But in hindsight, thinking of maybe what's going to happen in the future.
With hindsight?
No, with
Not-
hindsight.
With hindsight, thinking about what's going to happen in the future? Right, I think we'll leave it there. Stop digging. Justin, don't like senior citizens?
He may struggle a bit later on with the popular culture questions.
And you won't,
No,
being 21?
exactly.
Right. Anne, it's embarrassing. He's standing next to you. Why do you want to get rid of him?
I think we need nerves of steel in this job, and I'm afraid I think his nerves are going.
Right. Brian, how many years in the Merchant Navy?
40.
Right. And you haven't got nerves of steel?
My nerves are all right.
Are they? Right. Nothing just round here.
No.
I'm afraid with 4 votes, you are the weakest link.
I'm not sure why I was voted off as the weakest link. It may be that some of the team thought I might be a bit weak later on. I voted for Karen because I thought there was a very slight hesitation, and it was the only thing I could pick up on the whole team.
Round 2. You've reached your £1,000 target. 8 players are left. We are now taking 10 seconds off the clock. You have got rid of the oldest member of the team. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Andy. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Andy, what B is the name given to a person who abstains from eating meat?
Vegetarian.
Correct. Morag. If a 20-litre tank was 3/4 full, how many litres would it contain?
15.
Correct. Doug. In TV, which comedy series focused on the lives of 3 Irish priests and their housekeeper?
Father Ted.
Correct. Justin. In the animal kingdom, what H is a breed of pigeon famed for its extraordinary sense of direction?
Which H?
In the animal kingdom, what H is a breed of pigeon famed for its extraordinary sense of direction?
Harrier.
Homing. Anne. What was the name of the 1970s children's TV show presented by Rick Jones featuring paper mouse puppets?
Finger bob.
Correct. Kanjeev. In food, what E is a colloquial term for a snack taken between breakfast and lunch?
E? Did you say what E? Pass.
11s. Jill. In maths, if a floor measures 10 metres by 12 metres, what is its area in square metres?
120.
Correct. Karen. In which country would you find the city and port of Darwin?
Australia.
Correct. Andy. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan starred in which 1989 romantic comedy?
Remembering Sally.
When Harry Met Sally. Morag. In grammar, what N is the term used to describe a word that names a person or thing?
A noun.
Correct. Doug. In the Disney animated film, which poison fruit did the Wicked Queen give to Snow White?
Apple.
Correct. Justin. In human biology, what S is the fluid secreted into the mouth to aid digestion?
Saliva.
Correct. And in food, pâté de foie gras is a pâté made from the liver of which bird beginning with G?
A goose.
Correct. Kanjeev. In maths, what is larger, 3/4 or 7/8?
7/8.
I'll have to take your first answer. The correct answer is 7/8. Jill. Which dog-like mammal is best known for its cry, which has been compared to hysterical human laughter?
Hyena.
Correct. Karen. In pop music, who was the lead singer of the 1970s and 80s British group Hot Chocolate?
Errol Brown.
Correct. Andy.
Bank.
In sport, table tennis is sometimes referred to by which other name?
Ping pong.
Correct. Morag. In British business, what does the abbreviation LTD stand for at the end of a company name?
Limited.
Correct. Doug. In the animal kingdom, the peafowl is another name for which member of the pheasant family?
Grouse.
Peacock. Justin. In biology, what D is the methodical cutting apart of a plant or animal in order to study its structure?
Dissection.
Correct. Anne.
Bank.
Christopher Lloyd appeared as the character Uncle Fester in which 1991 comedy film?
The Addams Family.
Correct. Kanjeev. In
Bank.
Christianity, what C is the church in which a bishop has his official seat?
Pass.
Cathedral. Jill. In food, what letter is used to represent additives that have been approved for use by the European Commission?
E.
Correct. Karen. In
Bank.
history, which Scottish king... Time is up. And what a staggering reversal of fortunes. Without Brian, who was 73 and too slow, apparently, and wouldn't be able to answer questions about popular culture, you have put into the kitty just £110, who is now exposed as dreadfully dim. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Anne is now the strongest link according to the statistics. Kanjeev is the weakest link as he answered all of his questions incorrectly. But will the voting follow the facts?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Karen.
Andy.
Justin.
Kanjeev.
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 Justin, why Kanjeev?
He had a bad first question. I think he lost it after that.
Right. But you lost it as well, didn't you?
I got my 2 questions right after the one I got wrong.
Doug, what do you do?
Electron microscopist.
Right. Got a few qualifications, have you?
A few, yes.
Share them with us.
I've a first degree in zoology, a master's degree in biotechnology.
And you don't know another name for a peafowl?
I purposely gave an answer on that, even though I hadn't quite heard the first words that
Oh,
you
I
said.
see. It was my fault.
Well, it's my hearing, probably, rather than your fault, but I didn't quite catch it. I
Right.
thought, rather than waste
I
time.
see. You'd be amazed how often people use that excuse. Why did you vote for Kanjeev?
I felt he had a bad round there. I think he got 3 questions wrong. He's really got to go.
Right. Kanjeev, what do you do?
I'm a media consultant now.
And what do people consult you about, Kanjeev?
Advertising?
Advertising, not the English language, not arithmetic,
No.
not the use of words.
No.
Right. Just as well. You were rubbish, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Thank you. I didn't expect to get voted off that early, but I did have an awful round. It is a bit unnerving at times. Plus, Anne did get me at the beginning, which I don't think I'll be able to live down. I would have got those questions right if I thought about it more clearly, but she is quite off-putting.
Round 3, and of the £2,000 you could have won by now, you have in your bank 1,110. You are down to 7 players. We're taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Anne. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Anne, chain stitch, blanket stitch and cross stitch are popular decorative stitches in which form of needlework?
Sewing.
Embroidery. Jill, in the British Army, which is the more senior rank, Lieutenant General or Major General?
Major General.
Lieutenant General. Karen, what pea is a North American treeless plain or grassland?
Claire.
Prairie. Andy, in food, is a flitch half of a cow or a pig?
Pig.
Correct. Morag, in the children's TV cartoon Jimbo and the Jet Set, what sort of vehicle was Jimbo?
I don't know.
An aeroplane. Doug, in music, what C is the name given to a combination of 3 or more notes played together?
Pass.
Chord. Justin, in the periodic table, the element carbon is represented by which letter?
C.
Correct. Anne, in the animal kingdom, on which substance do bedbugs feed?
Skin.
Blood. Jill, in the USA, which island home to an infamous prison gets its name from the Spanish for Isle of Pelicans?
Alcatraz.
Correct. Karen, what variation on chewing gum was invented in the USA in 1928?
Wrigley's.
Bubblegum. Andy, in theatre, what C is a form of nightclub or restaurant entertainment involving the performance of music and dancing?
Cabaret.
Correct. Morag, which ex-Labour Party leader is now Vice President of the European Commission?
Neil Kinnock.
Correct. Doug, in biology, what L is the name given to the cavity found at the top of the trachea that contains the vocal cords?
Larynx.
Correct. Justin.
Bank.
Ornithology is the study of which animals?
Birds.
Correct. Anne, in skiing, what M is the name given to a mound of snow on a ski slope?
Pass.
Mogul. Jill, which member of the royal family fractured his shoulder in January 2001 after falling off his horse during a fox hunt?
Prince Charles.
Correct. Karen, which famous film awards ceremony took place for the first time in May 1929?
The BAFTA Awards.
Academy Awards. Andy, in British politics, Kenneth Baker served as an MP for which party?
Conservatives.
Correct. Morag, what is the rear of a ship called?
The stern.
Correct. Doug, in which year were the first Commonwealth Games held? 1830 or 1930?
1930.
Correct. Justin.
Bank.
What is the principal unit of currency in the Philippines?
Sol.
Peso. Anne, in science, does an atom that loses an electron become positively or negatively charged?
Negatively charged.
Positively. Jill, which famous British Prime Minister died in 1965, aged 91?
Churchill.
Correct. Karen.
Bank.
In football, Paul Gascoigne began his professional career at which English League club?
Leeds United.
Newcastle United. Andy, in nature, how many wings has a dragonfly? Time is up. The correct answer is 4. And another spectacularly poor round. You banked a trifling £220. Who are you going to dump? Who's not up to scratch? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Andy is the strongest link for a second time. Anne has gone from strongest link to weakest link. But how will the voting go?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Karen.
Anne.
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 Karen.
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 Jill, why Karen?
She unfortunately had a bad round and didn't get many questions, if any, right, and I feel she's going to get a bit nervous later on.
Right. How's it going for you, Doug?
Not too bad, thanks.
Right, because you've got all those qualifications, haven't you? Are you a member of any clubs as well?
Member of Mensa.
And how'd you get to become a member of Mensa?
You have to sit a test,
Right, what sort of test?
an IQ test.
An IQ test. Why Karen?
I feel that she did have a bad round there. I think she got at least 3 questions wrong.
Bit stupid, is she?
Not at all, no.
Wouldn't be a member of Mensa.
She may well be, for all I know.
Right. Why? Because you can be stupid and be a member of Mensa.
I wouldn't know.
Right. What? Because you're not stupid?
I like to think not.
Right, we'll see. Anne! What happened to you in that last round?
It was a disaster.
Yeah. Did you think Karen was the weakest link?
I think she was as bad as me.
No, she wasn't quite as bad
well,
as you.
there you
It's just they didn't notice. Not even Doug, who's a member of Mensa, noticed. Karen, where are you from?
Hartlepool.
Right. What happened to your brains? Did you leave them in Hartlepool?
I must have done, yeah.
Right, well, you can go and collect them. With 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I felt very disappointed about being voted off, considering I wasn't the weakest link. But I did have a really bad round, so I wasn't surprised at all. I think I was voted off instead of Anne because I'm younger. They're not looking at my age as an advantage. The next player to be voted off, I think, will be Anne because she was the weakest link, and all the teammates know that now.
Round 4, £1,330 banked. There are 6 of you left. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. You now have 2.5 minutes. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Andy. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Andy, Sigourney Weaver played the character Ripley in which series of science fiction films?
Aliens.
Correct, Morag. In baseball, what P is the name given to the person whose role is equivalent to that of a bowler in cricket?
Pitcher.
Correct, Doug. In geography, Jakarta is the largest city and capital of which Asian country?
Indonesia.
Correct, Justin. In the animal kingdom, what type of animal is an auklet, a fish or a bird?
Bird.
Correct, Anne. American Belinda Carlisle was the lead singer with which band that split in 1985?
Pass.
The Go-Go's. Jill, in the TV soap EastEnders, what's the name of Sonia's daughter?
Chloe.
Correct, Andy. In medicine, is a congenital disease one that is present at birth or contracted later in life?
Present at birth.
Correct, Morag. In children's literature, what nationality was the children's author Laura Ingalls Wilder?
She was American.
Correct, Doug. The town of Tivoli is in which European country?
Denmark.
Italy. Justin. Which Hollywood star is famous for her title role in the 1980 film Private Benjamin?
Goldie Hawn.
Correct, Anne. In theatre, HMS Pinafore and the Pirates of Penzance were operettas written by which famous duo?
Gilbert and Sullivan.
Correct, Jill. In
Bank.
music, from where does the percussion instrument the crescent originate, Morocco or Turkey?
Turkey.
Correct, Andy. Snooker player Alex Higgins was born in which city in Northern Ireland?
Belfast.
Correct, Morag. According to superstition, what are you supposed to do with the money in your pocket if you see a new moon?
Turn it over.
Correct, Doug. What nationality was the aviator Amy Johnson who established several long-distance records?
American.
British. Justin, in which year did the Scottish engineer John Logie Baird first demonstrate the televising of moving objects, 1919 or 1926?
1926.
Correct, Anne. In Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book, what kind of animal was the character Akela?
A tiger.
A wolf. Jill, what M is the holiest city of Islam and is also an oasis town in western Saudi Arabia?
Muscat.
Mecca. Andy, in maths, what is 1/4 expressed as a decimal?
25%.
0.25. Morag, in the human body, what P is the vein that carries blood back to the heart from the lungs?
Pulmonary.
Correct, Doug. Siddhartha Gautama became better known as which famous religious figure after his birth in Nepal around 560 BCE?
Buddha.
Correct, Justin. In
Bank.
science, the 2 types of particle which form the nucleus of an atom are the neutron and what?
Proton.
Correct, Anne. In sport, Jimmy, Colin and Alistair belong to which famous rally driving family?
McLaren.
McRae. Jill, in marine life, on what do whales feed their young in the first few months of their life?
Milk.
That is the correct answer, but it was out of time, and after all that work, another spectacularly poor round, you banked a pathetic £100. Who is now seriously a waste of rations? Who's tripped up once too often? It's time to vote on the weakest link.
Justin is the strongest link. With only one question answered correctly, Anne is the weakest link for the second time. But when it comes to the vote, will the team give her a second chance?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Anne.
Anne.
Jill.
Anne.
Doug.
Doug.
Jill, why Anne?
I think she's had a bad couple of rounds now and she may struggle as time goes on.
Doug, did that Mensa test involve any geography?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Right. What did it involve?
It's more about thinking rather than knowledge.
Oh, right. And did Anne think badly?
No, it's just the lack of knowledge, I think.
Right. There was a bit of a lack of knowledge, wasn't there, Anne? I mean, since you voted Brian off, because you thought he was a bit slow, you failed to answer questions on literature, music, maths, handicrafts, sport, biology and film.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you come from?
County Durham.
And you're going back there with 3 votes. You are the weakest link. Come on.
That was a bad round for me. My mind went to mush. I just couldn't find the answers quick enough. At home, you know all the answers. Out there, oh, you don't. Just shows you what lack of knowledge you do have. I think Jill might go next. She's done well, but I think maybe nerves will start to show.
Round 5, your total so far is £1,430. There are 5 of you left. We are taking another 10 seconds off the time. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Justin. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Justin, in nature, is a figwort a type of plant or animal?
Plant.
Correct. Jill, in language, what C is both an accordion-like instrument and a word describing anything that collapses in a series of folds?
Concertina.
Correct. Andy, in
Thanks.
which year of the 1990s was actress Glenda Jackson first elected as a Labour Member of Parliament?
95.
1992. Morag, which famous religious relic, which is preserved in a cathedral in Italy, was carbon dated in 1988?
The Turin Shroud.
Correct. Doug, in which state of the USA is the Baseball Hall of Fame?
New York.
Correct. Justin, in religion, what B is mentioned in the Bible as a type of sulphur?
Pass.
Brimstone. Jill, what D is an explosive containing nitroglycerine and silica?
Dynamite.
Correct. Andy, in literature, which weekly journal was originally linked to the Fabian Society and covers politics and contemporary culture?
Almanac.
New Statesman. Morag, what is the maximum number of clubs a professional golfer may carry on a round, 9 or 14?
14.
Correct. Doug, in geography, Lundy Island is in which British channel?
Bristol Channel.
Correct. Justin, which 1949 film did Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra play sailors who were on leave in New York?
Pass.
On the Town. Jill, what nationality was Henrietta Maria, the wife of Charles I, French or Spanish?
French.
Correct. Andy, in science, what name is given to the naturally occurring crystalline elements or compounds of which rocks are made?
Pass.
Minerals. Morag. In nature, catnip belongs to which family of herbs?
Parsley.
Mint. Doug, the novels Fog and The Magic Cottage were written by James who?
Herbert.
Correct. Justin, in geography, the administrative headquarters of Hampshire are in which English city?
Portsmouth.
Winchester. Jill, with which American actress would you associate the films Steel Magnolias, Norma Ray and Forrest Gump?
Pass.
Sally Field. Andy, the name of which religion means surrender or submission in Arabic?
Muslim.
I'll accept Muslim, Islam or Muslim. Morag, which parliamentary post did Bernard Weatherall hold from 1983 until his resignation at the 92 general election?
Speaker of the House
Correct.
of Commons.
Doug, in history, since William the Conqueror, how many kings of England have been called Richard?
2.
3. Justin, if a girl's father is 45 with 3 times... Time is up. I cannot complete the question. And in that round, you did even worse. You put into the kitty a pathetic £50. I urge you, dump the dunce, ditch the ditherer. Forget charity, you need to be ruthless to be rich. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Justin has gone from strongest link to weakest link. Doug is the strongest link statistically. But what factors will the team take into account when it comes to the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Justin.
Justin.
Doug.
Justin.
Andy.
Doug, we found another subject they didn't cover at Mensa, history there.
Yes, I should have known that. In fact, I did know it, but one thing goes on up there, but another thing comes out of the mouth.
Beginning to find it difficult to see the point of Mensa. Why Justin?
Why Justin? Well, going from the strongest link in the previous round, I was particularly aware that he had an unfortunate series of questions which he couldn't answer.
They're always unfortunate if you don't know the answer. Jill, why Justin?
Struggling a bit, and I didn't have any money to bank.
Right. Andy, you weren't much better than Justin, were you?
I don't think I was. The only reason I voted for Justin is I think he was just a little bit more nervous than I was.
Right. Well, well, Justin. Do you remember telling me that you were voting for Brian because you didn't think he'd be up to speed on popular culture questions? I bet he would have known the film with Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly.
Probably, but that's not popular culture, is it?
Isn't it?
No, 49. You have a laugh.
Right. Well, it's cost you your place on the team. With 3 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I was the weakest link in that round, so I deserved to go, and I did. They're all doing quite well down there. No one's showing many nerves. Doug may look a bit shaky, but I think Anne's given him a good ribbing. I think Jill will win it. She's looking really confident, not nervous, smiling, and she's getting on well with everyone as well, so she's got a good rapport with all the team members.
Round 6 and the minutes are ticking away, and the bank balance at £1,480 is still embarrassingly low. There are 4 of you left. We are cutting another 10 seconds from your time. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Doug. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Doug, in the American TV comedy MASH, what was the nickname of Alan Alda's character, Captain Benjamin Franklin Pierce?
Hawkeye.
Correct. Jill, which woman has trained 2 English Grand National winners?
Jenny Pittman.
Correct. Andy, in
Frank.
classical music, how many movements are usually found in a symphony? 2, 4 or 6?
4.
Correct. Morag, which English city staged the first International Garden Festival in 1984?
Birmingham.
Liverpool. Doug, in TV, Richie Richard and Eddie Hitler were the main characters in which 90s comedy series?
The young ones?
Bottom. Jill, what was the surname of the 14th century poet Geoffrey, the first to be buried in Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey?
Pass.
Chaucer. Andy, is the state of Delaware on the western or eastern seaboard of the United States?
Easton.
Correct. Morag, in
Aye.
music, in which century was the composer Claude Debussy born?
The 19th.
Correct. Doug, what is the full first name of the TV presenter Kat Deely?
Catherine.
Correct. Jill, in
Bank.
science, what name is given to a natural satellite that orbits a planet?
Moon.
Correct. Andy, which English city has football teams nicknamed the Owls and the Blades?
Bristol.
Sheffield. Morag, in geography, in which continent would you find Angola?
Africa.
Correct. Doug, what eye was the Egyptian goddess of magic?
Isis.
Correct. Jill, which
Bank.
heavy metal singers' albums include Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman?
John Bon Jovi.
Ozzy Osbourne. Andy, in literature, Miss Flight is a character in which Charles Dickens novel?
David Copperfield.
Bleak House. Morag, with which artistic field would you most associate Don McCullum and Angus MacBean?
Interior decoration.
Photography. Doug, in transport, the Golden Gate Ferry travels between Larkspur and which American city?
San Francisco.
Correct. Jill,
Bank.
the 1991 film Truth or Dare is a documentary about which famous female singer?
Pass.
Madonna. Andy, in Greek mythology, what P was the god of shepherds and flocks?
Pan.
Correct. Morag, in cricket, which country holds the record for the highest ever test score?
Australia.
Sri Lanka. Doug. Time is up. You banked £210. But who is well past their best? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Doug is the strongest link for a second time, and for a second time, Morag is the weakest link. But will the other players have noticed this?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Andy.
Jill.
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 Andy, why Jill?
I think Jules, it's her nerves that are letting her down rather than anything else, so my theory is she'll only get worse.
Right. Well, if she gets worse, she'll be as bad as you, because in the previous round, she's done rather better than you. Doug, you thought Jill was the weakest link, did you?
Yeah, she's done very well up to now, I must admit, but that round was a particularly bad round for her.
And I suppose being a member of Mensa, you'd be able to work out very quickly who the weakest link was, wouldn't you?
I tend not to worry about that particularly, it's just a general perception.
OK, well, Jill wasn't the weakest link, was she, Morag?
Well, I'm very sorry, Jill. I thought you were.
Do you know who was Morag?
No, I'm dying for you to tell me.
Morag was the weakest link.
Shock horror.
Right. That's statistically. But it's votes that matter. Jill, you backed the most money, but with 3 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Of course, I'm disappointed I was voted off, not being the weakest link, but I did know I was struggling in that round and banked the money to try and save myself. I voted for Andy that round because I remember him getting a few wrong, and I still haven't forgiven him for when Harry met Sally. I think the final will be between Doug and Andy. Ultimately, I think Doug will win.
Round 7, you have £1,690 in the kitty. There are 3 of you left, another 10 seconds off the clock. We start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Doug. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Doug, in pop music, what is the name of the stately home in Hertfordshire famous for hosting rock concerts since 1974?
Nebworth.
Nebworth House, correct. Andy, in politics, which senior Conservative was elected MP for Richmond, Yorkshire in 1989?
Kenneth Baker.
William Hague. Morag, in which English county would you find the River Cam and King's College?
Cambridgeshire.
Correct. Doug, in science, what m is 1/1,000,000 of a metre?
Micron.
Correct. Andy, in geography, the Humber Bridge is 5 miles west of which city in the UK?
Bristol.
Hull. Morag.
Bank.
In modern literature, which American writer disguised himself as the character Sal Paradise in the 1957 novel On the Road?
I don't know.
Jack Kerouac. Doug, in TV, what is the name of the drama series about a women's football team called the Castlefield Blues?
Dream Team.
Playing the field. Andy, the Mekong River in Southeast Asia rises in which country?
Vietnam.
Tibet. Morag, Martin Van Buren was the president of which country from 1837 to 1841?
I don't know.
America. Doug, in which museum has the London Fashion Week been held since 1993?
Victoria and Albert.
Natural History Museum. Andy, in the animal kingdom, what type of creature is a basilisk?
Fish.
A lizard. Morag, in medicine, haematology studies the physiology of what?
The blood.
Correct. Doug, in children's literature, which helicopter has friends called Pippa, Lionel and Chuck?
Budgie.
Correct. Andy,
Bank.
in geography, of which country is Jakarta the capital city?
Indonesia.
Correct. Morag, name the actor who starred in Kind Hearts and Coronets and Star Wars?
Alec Guinness.
Correct. Doug, in history, the term Jacobean can refer to furniture made during the reign of which English king?
Pass.
James I. Andy, which Australian coastal resort lies on the east coast south of Brisbane?
Melbourne.
Gold Coast. Morag, in which year of the 90s did the Barings bank scandal break?
1996.
The correct answer is 1995. Well, now that there's only 3 of you and you have got rid of 6 weaker links, you've managed to bank £50. Let me tell you about round 8, where you get the chance to treble what you bank, and that means in the next round there's £3,000 to be won. What you have to decide is who is past their best, who is least likely to raise the bank balance for the winner. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Doug is the strongest link for the 3rd time in a row. Andy is the weakest link, but he's been the strongest link twice before. At this crucial stage of the game, how will the players make their final choice?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Doug.
Andy.
Andy.
Doug, why Andy?
He had a particularly bad round. He's done well up to now, but last round I thought was a bit of a struggle.
It's hardly your finest moment, was it, the last round?
No, I never said it was.
Morag, what happened to you in that round?
I think I did much the same as Andy. I went AWOL.
Yeah. Well, not quite as bad, because you were the weakest link statistically, Andy, and overall you're the poorest player. 2 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think I can go home with my head held high. I achieved my ambition of not going out the first round and being the strongest link in one round, so I'm leaving a very happy person. I think Doug will just take it, only because he's probably just a little bit cooler under pressure.
Round 8. So far you've won £1,740. 2 of you left, Morag and Doug, and you have now only 90 seconds, but whatever you win in this round will be trebled and added to your total to make up your final prize money. So £3,000 is at stake in this round. We start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Doug. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Doug, the American inventor Joseph Farewell Glidden developed what kind of metal wire fencing in 1874?
Electrified fence.
Barbed wire. Morag, in language, which word for a business magnate comes from the Japanese for great prince?
Magnum.
Tycoon. Doug, in history, which heroine helped the young pretender escape after the 1745 rebellion?
Flora MacDonald.
Correct. Morag. What term is applied to moving art, driven by atmospheric forces or by motors or magnets?
Mobiles.
Kinetic art. Doug, which E.M. Forster novel features the prim spinster Charlotte Bartlett?
Pass.
A Room with a View. Morag, in which 1968 film comedy written by Mel Brooks does the play Springtime for Hitler feature?
Oh, The Producers.
Correct. Doug, in history, which country was renamed Democratic Kampuchea when Pol Pot took over in 1975?
Cambodia.
Correct.
Bye.
Morag, Unchained Melody and You've Lost That Loving Feeling were originally hits in America and Britain in 1965 for which American soul duo?
The Righteous Brothers.
Correct. Doug, in mythology, which ancient civilization worshipped the sun god Ra?
Egyptian.
Correct. Morag, in nature, is a fungus considered a plant?
Yes, it is.
No. Doug, the Orinoco River Delta is in which South American country?
Brazil.
Venezuela. Morag, in the animal kingdom, the wildcat is native to which part of the UK?
Scotland.
Correct. Doug, in which decade did the United Nations officially come into existence?
1940s.
Correct. Morag, in the battle... Time's up. You managed to win £100. We'll treble that and add it to the winnings from the previous rounds. That means you have hit more than 2,000. Prize money today is £2,040. But of course, only one of you can take that money away. So now you'll be playing against each other head to head. I'll ask alternate questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It's as simple as that. If there's a tie after 5, we'll go for sudden death until we have a winner. So, Morag and Doug, for £2,040, let's play the weakest link. Doug, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I'll go first, please.
Doug, in the 1964 film comedy Carry On Cleo, which actor said the line, "Infamy, they've all got it in for me"?
Kenneth Williams.
That is the correct answer. Morag, who, in Greek mythology, had 12 labours imposed on him as punishment for slaying his wife and children?
Hercules.
That is the correct answer. Doug, which 1928 D.H. Lawrence novel altered the interpretation of the 1959 Obscene Publications Act when it came out uncut in paperback?
Lady Chatterley's Lover.
That is the correct answer. Morag. In the Bible, during the 10 plagues, which animals came out of the River Nile?
Crocodiles.
Correct answer is frogs. Doug. What rank had Elvis Presley reached by the time he was discharged from the US Army?
Corporal.
Correct answer is sergeant. Morag, to pull level. Which actress starred in the comedy dramas Abigail's Party and Nuts in May, and more recently in Let Them Eat Cake with French and Saunders?
Alison Steadman.
That is the correct answer. Doug, in which English county would you find Sheringham and West Beckham?
Kent.
The correct answer is Norfolk. Morag, in UK politics, how many consecutive general elections did Labour lose before their victory in 1997?
2.
Correct answer is 4. Doug, in the cartoon The Flintstones, what was the name of Fred Flintstone's best friend and neighbour?
Barney Rubble.
That is the correct answer. Morag, you need to answer this question correctly to stay in the game. What was the surname of George, the Liverpool-born painter who died in 1806 and was known for his accomplished paintings of horses?
Stubbs.
That is the correct answer. And after 5 questions, we have a tie. We now go into a sudden death situation. The questions will continue in pairs. Doug, if you answer your question correctly, then Morag will have to answer correctly or she loses. And Doug, if you answer your question incorrectly, then Morag will have to answer correctly to win. So, Morag and Doug, let's play sudden death. In literature, who wrote A Journal of the Plague Year and Moll Flanders, both published in 1722?
Daniel Defoe.
That is the correct answer. Morag, which English rugby team play their home matches at QPR's football ground?
Harlequins.
The correct answer is Wasps. That means, Doug, you are today's strongest link and you go away with £2,040. Morag, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link. Goodbye.
I was hoping to win, but of course it's not just a game of what you know, it's a case of whether other people decide to get rid of you.
I actually answered questions which I dredged up from goodness knows where, but there were others that really annoyed me because I just didn't know them.
I'm absolutely delighted to have won. It was a very tough final round and it could have gone either way, I feel, really, depending on the look of the questions, but the luck was with me.